Don't cry, he said softly. Anyone who hurt you will answer to me. My name is Sophie Turner, and I'm 27 years old. I work as a nurse in Boston. This story is about how a stranger's promise to protect me changed my entire life. It started 6 months ago. I was working a night shift at the hospital. It had been a brutal week. 3 12-hour shifts in a row. I was exhausted. Around 2 a.m., I took a break, went outside to get air. That's when I saw him. A man was sitting on a bench outside the emergency entrance. He was bleeding. From his side. A lot. You need help, I said, walking over. I'm fine, the man replied. His voice was strained. You're not fine, I argued. You're bleeding. Let me look at that. The man hesitated, then nodded. I examined the wound. It was a knife wound. Deep. Recent. This needs stitches, I said. You need to come inside. No hospitals, the man said. No police. That's not how this works, I pointed out. You've been stabbed. Please, the man said. His eyes were intense, dark, pleading. I can't go inside. Just help me here. I should have refused, should have called for help. Instead, I went back inside, grabbed supplies, came back out, stitched him up on that bench. You're good at this, the man said. I'm a nurse, I replied. It's literally my job. What's your name? The man asked. Sophie, I said. I'm Sophie Turner. I'm Marcus, the man said. Marcus Reed. Why can't you go inside, Marcus? I asked. It's complicated, Marcus replied. Are you in trouble? I asked. Something like that, Marcus admitted. I finished stitching, bandaged the wound. You need to keep this clean, I said. Come back in a few days so I can check it. I won't be coming back, Marcus said. Then at least take these, I said, handing him antibiotics from my pocket. I shouldn't have taken those from the hospital, but something about Marcus made me want to help. Thank you, Marcus said. You didn't have to do this. I know, I replied. Marcus stood, winced, pulled out his wallet, handed me $500 bills. I can't take that, I said. Yes, you can, Marcus insisted, for the supplies you stole and for not asking questions. How did you know I stole them? I asked. Because you're kind, Marcus said. Kind people do risky things to help strangers. He walked away. I stood there, holding the money, wondering what I had gotten myself into. A week later, I was mugged, walking home from work. Late night, dark street. A man grabbed my purse, pushed me down. I scraped my hands, my knees, started crying from shock more than pain. That's when Marcus appeared. Let her go, he said, his voice cold. The mugger turned, saw Marcus, dropped my purse, and ran. Marcus helped me up. Are you okay? He asked. I think so, I said, still shaking. Let me see your hands, Marcus said. I showed him. The scrapes were bleeding. Nothing serious, but painful. Come on, Marcus said. I'll take you home. I should say no, I replied. You should, Marcus agreed. But you won't. He was right. I let him walk me home. At my apartment building, I turned to thank him. Marcus was looking at my scraped hands. Don't cry, he said softly. Anyone who hurt you will answer to me. What? I asked. That man who pushed you, Marcus explained. I'll find him. Make sure he understands what he did was wrong. You don't have to do that, I said. Yes, I do, Marcus replied. You helped me. Now I help you. That's how this works. How what works? I asked. But Marcus was already walking away. The next morning, I found a package outside my door. Inside was a new purse, nicer than the one that was stolen, with all my cards and ID inside. A note said, "The man who hurt you won't hurt anyone again." I should have been scared, should have called police. Instead, I felt protected. 2 weeks after the mugging, Marcus showed up at my work, at the hospital. "How's your wound?" I asked. "Healed," Marcus said, "thanks to you." "Why are you here?" I asked. "To check on you," Marcus explained. "Make sure you're okay." "I'm fine," I said. "Are you?" Marcus asked. "Because I heard about what happened." "What happened?" I repeated. "Your ex," Marcus said. "He's been calling you, showing up at your apartment." "How do you know that?" I demanded. "I have people watching," Marcus admitted, "making sure you're safe." "That's creepy," I pointed out. "That's protection," Marcus corrected. "I don't need protection," I argued. "Everyone needs protection," Marcus said, "especially from people who claim to love them while hurting them." My ex-boyfriend had been harassing me, showing up drunk, demanding we get back together, sometimes threatening. I had filed a police report, but they said they couldn't do anything unless he actually hurt me. "He won't bother you anymore," Marcus said. "What did you do?" I asked. "I had a conversation with him," Marcus replied. "Made it clear that bothering you was a bad idea." "You can't just threaten people," I said. "I didn't threaten him," Marcus corrected. "I made him a promise." "What promise?" I demanded. "That if he came near you again, he would regret it," Marcus explained. My ex never contacted me again. Part of me was relieved. Part of me was terrified of Marcus. But another part, a part I didn't want to admit, was grateful. 3 weeks after the mugging, Marcus asked me to dinner. "As a thank you," he said, "for saving my life that night." "You don't owe me anything," I replied. "I know," Marcus said, "but I'd like to take you anyway." I said yes. We went to an expensive restaurant, the kind with cloth napkins and prices not listed on the menu. "This is too much," I said. "Nothing is too much," Marcus replied. "Tell me about yourself," I said. "What do you do?" "I run security," Marcus explained, "for people who need it." "What kind of people?" I asked. "People with enemies," Marcus said. "People who need protection." "Are you like a bodyguard?" I asked. "Something like that," Marcus replied. We talked through dinner, about his work, about mine, about our lives. Marcus was guarded, careful with details, but also surprisingly open about some things. "I grew up rough," Marcus said. "In and out of foster care, learned early that the world doesn't protect the weak." "So you protect them instead?" I asked. "I protect people who matter," Marcus corrected. "And you matter?" I asked. "You matter," Marcus confirmed. "Why?" I demanded. "Because you helped me when you didn't have to," Marcus explained. "Because you're kind in a world that punishes kindness. Because you deserve someone looking out for you." After dinner, Marcus drove me home. At my door, he said something. "I know this is strange," he said, "what we're doing, what I'm doing." "It is strange," I agreed. "But I also understand something now," Marcus continued. "What's that?" I asked. "That I want to keep protecting you," Marcus said. "Not because I owe you, because I want to." "I don't know what to say," I admitted. "You don't have to say anything," Marcus replied. "Just know that I'm here, that anyone who tries to hurt you will answer to me." 4 weeks after the mugging, we started officially dating. It was intense from the beginning. Marcus was protective, maybe too protective. He wanted to know where I was, who I was with, made sure I was safe. Some people would call it controlling, but I knew the difference. Marcus wasn't trying to control me. He was trying to keep me safe. "There's a difference between protection and possession," I told him one night. "I know," Marcus said. "I'm not trying to possess you. I'm trying to make sure you survive in a dangerous world." "Is your world always this dangerous?" I asked. "Yes," Marcus admitted. which is why I need to know you're safe. 2 months into our relationship, someone from Marcus's past showed up. Someone who had a grudge, who wanted revenge. They came after me to get to Marcus. I was leaving work when a car pulled up. 2 men got out, grabbed me, forced me into the vehicle. I screamed, fought, but they were stronger. They took me to a warehouse, tied me to a chair. One of them called Marcus. "We have your girl," he said. "If you want her back, you'll do what we say." What happened next, I heard about later. Marcus didn't negotiate, didn't wait, didn't follow their demands. He found us within 3 hours, came in alone. There were 4 men guarding me. Marcus didn't hesitate. There was a fight. I heard gunshots, shouting, then silence. Marcus appeared in front of me, covered in blood, not his own. "Are you hurt?" he asked, cutting my restraints. "No," I said, "just scared." "I'm sorry," Marcus said. "This is my fault." "You came for me," I replied. "Of course I came for you," Marcus said. "Don't cry," he added softly. "Anyone who hurt you will answer to me." "What happened to them?" I asked. "They're gone," Marcus replied. "They won't hurt anyone again." After that night, things changed. I understood fully what Marcus was, what he did, the danger that came with being near him. I should have left, should have run far away. Instead, I moved in with him, into his secure apartment, with guards and cameras and safety, because being with Marcus, despite the danger, felt safer than being without him. 3 months into our relationship, I met Marcus's team, the people he worked with. They were all like him, trained, dangerous, protective. "This is Sophie," Marcus introduced me. "She's off limits. Understood?" Everyone nodded. One woman, tall with a scar across her cheek, spoke up. "You must be special," she said. "Marcus has never brought anyone around before." "I'm not special," I replied. "Yes, you are," the woman said, "because Marcus would burn the world down for you. We all see it." 4 months in, Marcus told me he loved me. We were at his apartment late at night. "I love you," he said. It wasn't a question, just a statement. "I love you too," I replied. "I mean it," Marcus said. "I would do anything for you. Anything." "I know," I said. "That's what scares me." "It should," Marcus admitted. "Because I'm not a good man. I've done things you can't imagine. Hurt people, made choices that keep me up at night. But you're good to me," I said. "I try to be," Marcus confirmed. "You are," I insisted. "You protect me, care for me, make me feel safe. That's love. That's enough." 5 months into our relationship, my parents found out about Marcus. They were horrified. "He's dangerous," my mother said. "He's protective," I corrected. "There's a difference." "He's in a violent world," my father argued. "You could get hurt."
"I could get hurt crossing the street," I countered. "At least with Marcus, someone is watching out for me." We didn't speak for a month after that fight. It hurt. But I chose Marcus anyway. 6 months after that night outside the hospital, Marcus proposed. We were at home. No fancy dinner, no public spectacle, just us. "Marry me," he said. "Why?" I asked. "Because I want to protect you forever," Marcus explained. "Because I want legal rights to make decisions if you're hurt. Because I love you and want the world to know you're mine." "That's the most unromantic proposal ever," I pointed out. "I'm not a romantic man," Marcus said. "I'm a practical one. But I love you more than I knew was possible, and I want you to be my wife." "Yes," I said. "I'll marry you." We got married at City Hall. Small ceremony, just his team and my best friend. My parents didn't come. In my vows, I talked about protection and love and choosing each other despite everything. In his vows, Marcus made a promise. "Anyone who tries to hurt you will answer to me," he said. "For the rest of your life, you're under my protection, not because you need it, but because I need to give it." That's love for me, keeping you safe, making sure the world knows you're protected. 1 year after that night outside the hospital, we were building a life together. It wasn't normal. Marcus's work was dangerous. We had guards at our home. Threats were real. But it was our life, and I wouldn't change it. That's what I tell people when they ask about us. I was crying outside a hospital. A stranger promised to protect me. That promise became my whole life. It's not a fairy tale. It's darker, more complicated, but it's real, and it's ours. But the story doesn't end at 1 year. That's just where the foundation was laid. The first year of marriage was an adjustment, learning to live with someone whose job involved violence, who came home some nights with blood on his clothes, who made decisions that had life and death consequences. 18 months after we met, I saw Marcus truly angry for the first time. Someone at the hospital had been harassing me, a doctor, making inappropriate comments, touching my arm too long, following me to my car. I mentioned it to Marcus, casually, thinking nothing of it. The next day, the doctor transferred to a hospital across the country. "What did you do?" I asked Marcus. "I had a conversation with him," Marcus replied, "and with the hospital administration. Made it clear that his behavior was unacceptable." "You can't just make people transfer," I said. "I didn't make him do anything," Marcus corrected. "I simply explained the consequences of his actions, and he chose to leave." 3 years into our relationship, Marcus's past caught up with us again. Someone he had worked against, someone who wanted revenge. They sent a message, a photo of me at work with a date and time written on it, letting Marcus know they were watching. "I'm sending you away," Marcus said. "What?" I asked. "Somewhere safe," Marcus explained, "until I handle this." "I'm not leaving," I argued. "Sophie, this isn't negotiable," Marcus said. "These people are serious." "So am I," I replied. "I'm your wife. I'm not running." "Then you're staying under guard," Marcus insisted. 24 hours a day. "Fine," I agreed. For the next 2 weeks, I had guards everywhere. At work, at home, following me constantly. It was suffocating, but necessary. Marcus found the people threatening us. I don't know exactly what happened, he never told me details, but the threats stopped, and Marcus came home with split knuckles and a cold look in his eyes. "It's handled," was all he said. 3 years after that night outside the hospital, we tried to have a baby. It took longer than expected. Months of negative tests, of disappointment, of questioning if it would ever happen. "Maybe this is the universe telling us something," I said one night. "Telling us what?" Marcus asked. "That we shouldn't bring a child into this life," I explained. "Into your world, into danger." "Our child will be the most protected person alive," Marcus said. "That's not the same as safe," I pointed out. "Nothing is truly safe," Marcus replied. "But our child will have everything. Protection, resources, parents who love them. What more can we offer?" "A normal childhood," I suggested. "Normal is overrated," Marcus said. I was pregnant 4 months later. Marcus was thrilled and terrified. "What if I'm a bad father?" he asked. "You won't be," I promised. "How do you know?" Marcus pressed. "Because you already protect people," I said. "You'll protect our child even more." "But protecting isn't the same as parenting," Marcus argued. "I don't know how to be gentle, how to be soft." "Then you'll learn," I said. "For our child, you'll figure it out." Our daughter was born on a Tuesday in March. We named her Grace, because Marcus said she was grace he didn't deserve. The first year of Grace's life was hard. She was colicky, didn't sleep, cried constantly. Marcus tried to help, but felt useless. "I can face down armed men," he said, at 3 a.m., "but I can't calm my own daughter." "She'll calm down eventually," I promised. "Just be patient." "Patience is not my strength," Marcus admitted. "Then make it your strength," I suggested. For her, Marcus did. He learned to be gentle, to rock Grace, to sing to her in his rough voice, to be soft in ways he never thought possible. 5 years into our marriage, someone tried to kidnap Grace. She was 3 years old, at preschool. A man showed up claiming to be picking her up. The school didn't release her, called us immediately. Marcus arrived in minutes, found the man still in the parking lot. What happened next, I heard about from others. Marcus put the man in the hospital, broke both his arms, made it clear that coming near our family was the worst mistake anyone could make. The police investigated. Marcus was arrested, charged with assault. His lawyer got the charges dropped. Self-defense of a minor, defense of family. But the message was sent. Our family was off limits. 6 years after that night outside the hospital, we had another child, a son. We named him James, after Marcus's foster father, the only person who had ever protected Marcus as a child. Grace was jealous at first, of James, of the attention he got, but gradually she adjusted, became a protective older sister. 7 years into our marriage, my parents reached out. They wanted to meet their grandchildren. Despite everything, I agreed. The meeting was tense. My mother couldn't look at Marcus. My father kept asking about his work. Marcus was patient, answered questions carefully, held James while Grace played. At the end, my mother pulled me aside. "He's different than I expected," she admitted. "Different how?" I asked. "More human," my mother said. "I thought he would be a monster. But he's just a man who loves you." "That's all I've ever tried to tell you," I said. "I know," my mother replied. "I'm sorry it took so long to see it." 8 years after that first meeting, Marcus started transitioning out of active security work into management, letting younger men do the dangerous jobs. "I'm getting old," he explained. "Slower, less effective." "You're 38, I pointed out. "That's ancient in this business," Marcus said. "Besides, I have reasons to stay alive now. You and the kids. I don't want to risk not coming home." "I appreciate that," I said. 9 years into our marriage, Grace started asking questions about what Daddy does, about why we have guards, about why her friends' parents seem scared of us. Marcus sat her down, told her age-appropriate truths. "I protect people," he explained. "Sometimes that means dealing with dangerous situations." "Are you dangerous?" Grace asked. "I can be," Marcus admitted. "When I need to protect people I love. Does that scare you?" "Not really," Grace said. "Because I know you'd never hurt us." "That's right," Marcus confirmed. "You, your mother, your brother, you're the most important things in my world." 10 years after that night outside the hospital, we renewed our vows, with our kids watching, with Marcus's team present, with my family there. In my vows, I talked about 10 years, about choosing Marcus every day despite the dangers, about building a life from a promise to protect. In his vows, Marcus repeated what he said that first night. "Anyone who hurts you will answer to me," he said. That promise hasn't changed in 10 years, won't change ever. You're mine to protect, forever. 11 years in, Marcus's mentor died, the man who taught him the security business, who gave him purpose. Marcus grieved hard, withdrew, spent days not speaking. I sat with him, let him process. "He saved me," Marcus finally said, "when I was 19, gave me direction, made me into someone who mattered. Now he's gone," I said. "But what he built in you remains." Marcus looked at me. "You sound like him," Marcus said. "He always said impact matters more than presence." "Then he lives on in you," I said, "in the man you became, in how you protect others." 12 years after we met, James started school. Both kids were growing up, becoming their own people. Grace was fierce, protective like Marcus. James was gentle, kind like I tried to be. One night, Grace asked me something. "Mom, do you ever wish Dad had a normal job?" she asked. "Sometimes," I admitted, "when I worry about his safety, but mostly no." "Why not?" Grace pressed. "Because his job is who he is," I explained. "He protects people. That's his purpose." "Would you have married him if he had a different job?" Grace asked. "I married him because of who he is, not what he does." 13 years into our marriage, someone from my past reappeared, an old friend, someone who had been there during my relationship with my ex. She wanted to reconnect. Marcus was suspicious. "I don't trust her," he said. "Why not?" I asked. "Because people don't just reappear after 13 years, Marcus explained. "She wants something." "You're being paranoid," I argued. "I'm being careful," Marcus corrected. "There's a difference." Marcus was right. My friend was working with my ex, trying to get information about Marcus, about his work, about our life. Marcus found out before any damage was done. "Your ex tried to use your friend to get to me," Marcus explained. "Why?" I asked. "Because he's still angry," Marcus said. "About us, about how I made him leave you alone." "What are you going to do?" I asked. "Nothing," Marcus replied. "He's pathetic, not worth my time. Unless he tries again." "Then?" I pressed. "Then he'll remember why he stayed away the first time," Marcus said. 14 years after that night outside the hospital, Marcus fully retired from active work, focused entirely on management, running the security company from an office. "It's strange," Marcus admitted, "not being in the field. But it's also good," I said, "knowing you're safer, coming home every night." "I never thought I'd care about that," Marcus said. "About safe, about routine." "You have a family now," I pointed out. "That changes things." "It does," Marcus agreed. "You three are my everything." 15 years into our marriage, Grace started high school. She was popular, smart, but also fierce. One day she got in a fight, defending a smaller kid from a bully. The school called us, wanted to suspend Grace. "Absolutely not," Marcus said. "She was protecting someone. That's not against the rules." "Fighting is against the rules," the principal argued. "Self-defense isn't fighting," Marcus countered. "And protecting others is what good people do. You're not suspending my daughter for being brave." The principal backed down. Grace wasn't suspended. Later, Marcus talked to her. "I'm proud of you," he said, "for standing up for that kid." "Thanks, Dad," Grace replied. "But next time," Marcus added, "be smarter about it. Make sure there are witnesses who can back up your story." "Okay," Grace said. 16 years after we met, James started showing interest in Marcus's work. He wanted to learn, to train, to become like his father. "No," Marcus said immediately. "Why not?" James asked. "Because I don't want this life for you," Marcus explained. "I want you to have choices I didn't have." "But you help people," James argued. "You protect them. That's good." "It is good," Marcus agreed, "but it's also dangerous. And I want you to have a life without constant threat." James was disappointed, but Marcus stood firm. 17 years into our marriage, my father passed away. He had accepted Marcus by then, even respected him. "Your father was a good man," Marcus said at the funeral. "Better than me." "Different than you," I corrected. "Not better." Marcus supported me through the grief, took time off work, made sure I had space to process. 18 years after that night outside the hospital, we faced a new threat. Someone trying to take over Marcus's company, using underhanded tactics, threatening employees, going after contracts. Marcus was calm, methodical. He didn't fight back violently. Instead, he outmaneuvered them, used connections, called in favors, destroyed their reputation without ever raising a fist. "You've changed," I observed. "How?" Marcus asked. "You used to solve problems with violence," I said. "Now you solve them with strategy." "I grew up," Marcus explained. "Learned that sometimes the best way to protect people is to be smarter, not harder." 19 years into our marriage, Grace graduated high school. She was heading to college, studying criminal justice. She wanted to be a prosecutor. "I'm proud of you," Marcus told her. "You're going to change things." "I learned from the best," Grace said. "You taught me to protect people. Now I'm going to do it legally." Marcus laughed. It was a good sound. 20 years after that night outside the hospital, we celebrated. 2 decades since Marcus promised to protect me. 2 decades since everything changed. In my speech, I reflected on 20 years, on how a stranger's promise became a life. 20 years ago, I said, I was crying outside a hospital. A stranger saw me and made a promise anyone who hurt me would answer to him. That promise changed my life, led to this marriage, these children, this impossible life. Looking back, I'm grateful for Marcus's protection,
for his love, for 20 years of choosing each other. Marcus gave his own speech. 20 years ago, he said, I was dying from a knife wound. A nurse saved my life. Then she showed me her scraped hands and started crying. I made a promise that night to protect her forever. That was the best promise I ever made, because Sophie didn't just let me protect her, she taught me why protection matters. Taught me that being strong means being gentle with the people you love. After the party, Marcus and I sat alone. 20 years, I said. 2 decades since you promised to protect me. Best 20 years of my life, Marcus confirmed. Mine too, I agreed. We sat in comfortable silence, 2 people who had built something lasting from a promise made in a moment of vulnerability. I'm glad I was crying that night, I said. I'm glad you were there, Marcus replied. I'm glad you let me help you. We helped each other, I corrected. You saved my life, Marcus said, and I've spent 20 years trying to be worthy of that. You've been worthy all along, I said. It just took you 20 years to see it. 21 years after that night outside the hospital, James started college. He chose business school, wanted to run legitimate companies, build things legally. I'm proud of him, Marcus said, for choosing a different path, a safer one.
You're okay with that? I asked. More than okay, Marcus confirmed. I want both our kids to have lives without constant threat. That's the whole point of what I do, to protect them so they can be normal. 22 years into our marriage, Grace joined the district attorney's office as a prosecutor. She was fierce in the courtroom, protecting victims, going after criminals. She called Marcus one day. Dad, I need advice, she said. About? Marcus asked. There's a case, Grace explained. A security company is being investigated. They're saying it's a front for illegal activities. Do you know them? Marcus was quiet. I used to work with them, he admitted. They're dirty. If you have a case, prosecute them. Even though you work together? Grace asked. Especially because I worked with them, Marcus said. I got out, went legitimate. They chose to stay dirty. That's on them. 23 years after meeting Marcus, we became grandparents. James had a baby girl, our first grandchild. Marcus was emotional, more than I had ever seen him. She's perfect, he kept saying, holding the baby. We made this, I said. Our family, our legacy. It's more than I ever imagined, Marcus admitted. When I was dying outside that hospital, I never thought I'd have this. Have what? I asked. Everything, Marcus said. A wife, kids, grandchildren, a life worth living. 24 years into our marriage, Marcus had a health scare. Chest pains, tests showed heart disease, stress-related. Decades of living in danger had taken their toll. You need to slow down, the doctor said. I have slowed down, Marcus argued. Not enough, the doctor replied. You're carrying 30 years of stress. It needs to stop. I was terrified of losing him, of being alone after 24 years. You're not dying on me, I said. Not a chance, Marcus promised. I've survived knife wounds and gunfights. I'm not letting my heart take me out. Marcus made changes. Diet, exercise, meditation, things he never thought he'd do. It's strange, he said one day. What is? I asked. Being the one who needs protection, Marcus explained, instead of providing it. I've been protecting you for 24 years, I pointed out. You just never noticed because it was different than your protection. How so? Marcus asked. You protect with strength, I said. I protect with care, with making sure you eat right and sleep enough, with reminding you that you're human. We protect each other, Marcus said, just in different ways. 25 years after that night outside the hospital, we celebrated big. A quarter century since Marcus made his promise, since everything changed. In my speech, I talked about 25 years of protection and love. 25 years ago, I said, I was crying outside a hospital, upset about small things that seemed big at the time. A stranger saw me vulnerable and made a promise to protect me, to make sure anyone who hurt me would answer to him. That promise became my life. This marriage, this family, this quarter century of choosing each other. Marcus has kept that promise for 25 years, protected me from danger, from threats, from anyone who tried to hurt me. But more than that, he protected my heart, made sure I felt safe enough to love him completely. Marcus's speech was emotional. 25 years ago, he said, I was dying. A nurse saved my life. Then I saw her crying, and I made a promise I didn't know if I could keep, to protect her, forever. 25 years later, I'm still keeping that promise, still making sure Sophie is safe, still making sure anyone who tries to hurt her understands the consequences. But what I didn't know then was that Sophie would protect me too, not with violence or threats, but with love and patience, and showing me I could be more than a weapon. After the party, we danced. Slow. Close. 25 years, Marcus said. Quarter century of keeping my promise. Best promise you ever made? I asked. Only promise that mattered, Marcus replied. 26 years into our marriage, James got married. To a woman who knew nothing about Marcus's past, who thought we were normal. She'll figure it out eventually, Marcus said. Should we tell her? I asked. She'll learn on her own, Marcus replied. By staying, by paying attention, by choosing to see the truth. 27 years after meeting Marcus, Grace had a baby. A boy, our second grandchild. She asked Marcus to be there for the birth, in case anything went wrong. You want me there? Marcus asked, surprised. Of course, Grace said. You've protected me my whole life. I want you there to protect him too. Marcus was in the delivery room, held his grandson minutes after birth. This is what it's all for, he told me later. What do you mean? I asked. The protection, Marcus explained. The work, the danger. All of it was to build toward this, toward a family that's safe, toward grandchildren who will never know the fear I grew up with. 28 years into our marriage, Marcus fully sold his security company, retired completely. He was 54, ready to focus on family. How does it feel? I asked. Strange, Marcus admitted. For 30 years, protection was my identity.
Now what? Now you're just grandpa, I said. Just a husband and father. Just someone who gets to enjoy what he built. I like that, Marcus said. 29 years after that night outside the hospital, my mother passed away. She had grown to love Marcus over the years, appreciated how he protected our family. Your mother was special, Marcus said at the funeral. She never fully trusted me, but she trusted that I loved you. That was enough. She came around eventually, I said. She did, Marcus agreed, and I'm grateful for that. 30 years after Marcus promised to protect me, we threw a massive party. 3 decades since that night. 3 decades since everything changed. In my speech, I reflected on 30 years, on how a promise kept became a life built. 30 years ago, I said, a stranger made me a promise. Don't cry, he said. Anyone who hurt me would answer to him. That was the moment I realized protection could be love, that strength could be gentle, that a dangerous man could also be a good man. 30 years later, Marcus has kept that promise every single day, protected me, loved me, built a life with me, and I've done the same for him, protected his heart, loved him completely, built this family together. Marcus gave his own speech. 30 years ago, he said, I made a promise to a crying woman, to protect her. I didn't know then that she would become my everything, my wife, the mother of my children, the person who made me want to be better. He looked at me. For 30 years, I've kept that promise. Made sure Sophie is safe. Made sure anyone who tries to hurt her understands they're dealing with me. But what I've learned is that protection is just one part of love. The other parts are respect and partnership and letting her protect me too. After the party, Marcus and I sat on our porch. 30 years, I said. 3 decades since you promised to protect me. Best 3 decades, Marcus confirmed. Do you ever think about that night? I asked. All the time, Marcus admitted. About how close I came to dying. About how you saved me, then made a promise that saved me in a different way. How did my promise save you? I asked. Because it gave me purpose beyond survival, Marcus explained. It made me want to live, want to be worthy of protecting someone good. You were always worthy, I said. I didn't feel that way, Marcus replied. But you made me feel it. Over 30 years. 31 years into our marriage, James had another baby, a boy this time. 3 grandchildren now. Marcus was obsessed, spent all his time with them. You're spoiling them, I told him. That's what grandparents do. Spoil grandchildren. Teach them things their parents won't. Like what? I asked. Like how to be strong and kind at the same time, Marcus said. Like how to protect people without being violent. Like how one promise can change everything. 32 years after that night outside the hospital, Grace became a judge, the youngest in the state. Marcus was incredibly proud. You did this, he told her. Built a career protecting people legally. I learned from you, Grace said. You showed me what protection looks like. I just found a different way to do it. That's all I wanted, Marcus replied. For you to protect people without the danger I faced. 35 years into our marriage, Marcus and I took a long trip. 6 months traveling, seeing the world. This is nice, Marcus said in Italy. Being no one, just tourists. You're not no one, I argued. Here, I'm just a man traveling with his wife, Marcus corrected. No reputation, no past, no one to protect except you. And I like that. 34 years after meeting Marcus, we moved. To a smaller house. The kids were grown. Grandchildren had their own lives. We didn't need space anymore. Just us again, I said. Like when we started. Full circle, Marcus agreed. Except we're older, wiser, more grateful. 35 years into our marriage, Marcus was diagnosed with cancer. Prostate. Treatable, but scary. I can't lose you, I told him. You're not losing me, Marcus promised. I've protected you for 35 years. Not going to stop now by dying. You better not, I said, because I still need you. Marcus underwent treatment, surgery, radiation. I was with him through all of it. Now I'm protecting you, I said, like you've protected me. That's partnership, Marcus replied, taking turns being strong. 36 years after that night outside the hospital, Marcus went into remission. The cancer was gone. We have more time, the doctor said. Good, Marcus replied. I'm not done yet. Done with what? I asked. Living, Marcus said. Loving you. Being grateful for every day we get. 37 years into our marriage, we renewed our vows again. For the 3rd time. Just us. No party, no guests. Just recommitting. In my vows, I talked about 37 years. About protection becoming love. About a promise kept for nearly 4 decades. In his vows, Marcus repeated what he said that first night. Don't cry,
he said. Anyone who hurts you will answer to me. That's still true. After 37 years, will always be true. After the ceremony, we walked in the park. 37 years, I said, since you made that promise. Do you regret it? Marcus asked. Never, I confirmed. Even with the danger? Even knowing what my life was like? Especially because of that, I said. You showed me what real protection looks like, what real love is. 38 years after meeting Marcus, James took over a company. Legitimate, successful, building on what Marcus started, but completely clean. I'm proud of you, Marcus told him. You took what I built and made it better, made it legal. That's what I wanted, James said, to honor what you started while being my own person. You succeeded, Marcus replied. 39 years into our marriage, we celebrated Grace becoming a state Supreme Court judge, the highest position in the state judiciary. You've accomplished so much, I told her. Because you and Dad showed me how, Grace said. You protected people. I'm doing the same thing, just with a gavel instead of guards. That's everything we wanted, Marcus said. For you to be strong and successful without danger. 40 years after that night outside the hospital, we threw our biggest party yet. 4 decades since Marcus promised to protect me. 4 decades since everything changed. In my speech, I reflected on 40 years, on how one promise became a lifetime. 40 years ago, I said, I was crying outside a hospital. A man I had just helped saw me and made a promise to protect me, to make sure anyone who hurt me would answer to him. That promise has defined 40 years of my life. This marriage, this family, everything we built. Marcus has kept that promise every single day for 4 decades, and I've spent 40 years being grateful for it. Marcus's speech was simple. 40 years ago, he said, I made a promise to a woman I barely knew, to protect her, forever. It was the easiest promise I ever made, and the most important one I ever kept. He looked at me. For 40 years, Sophie has let me protect her, trusted me despite my past, built a life with me despite the danger. That trust made me into someone worthy of giving it. After the party, we sat alone. 40 years, I said. 4 decades since you promised to protect me. Best 40 years, Marcus confirmed. I'm glad I was crying that night, I said. I'm glad you were there, Marcus replied. I'm glad you let me keep my promise. We kept it together, I corrected. You protected me, I protected you. We built this life. That's partnership. That's love. That's everything. 41 years after that night outside the hospital, Marcus's health declined. The years of stress and danger had taken their toll. His heart was weakening. The doctor said he needed to be careful. You've been through too much, they told him. Your body is paying the price. I'm not ready to slow down, Marcus argued. You don't have a choice, I said. Marcus, you need to take care of yourself. For me. For the grandkids. Fine, Marcus agreed. But only because you asked. 42 years into our marriage, Marcus had a heart attack. Minor, but terrifying. I was there when it happened, saw him collapse, called 911, rode in the ambulance holding his hand. You're not leaving me, I kept saying. Not after 42 years. Not going anywhere, Marcus promised weakly. He recovered, but it was a wake-up call for both of us. 43 years after meeting Marcus, we slowed down significantly.
No more travel, no more stress, just quiet days at home, with family visiting, with grandchildren running around. "This is good," Marcus said one day. "What is?" I asked. "This peace," Marcus explained. "After decades of danger, I get to just exist. With you. That's all I need." "You've always been all I needed," I said. 44 years into our marriage, Grace had a health scare. Breast cancer. Treatable but difficult. Marcus was devastated. "I'm supposed to protect her from everything," he said. "You can't protect her from this," I told him. "But you can support her. Be there. That's protection too."
Marcus was at every appointment, every treatment, holding Grace's hand like she was 5 years old again. Grace recovered, went into remission. But it reminded us all how precious time was. 45 years after that night outside the hospital, James's business became hugely successful. He was featured in magazines, called a visionary. "You did this," Marcus told him. "Built something real." "I learned from you," James said. "How to be strategic, how to protect what matters, how to build something lasting." 46 years into our marriage, we moved into senior living, a nice place with support, where Marcus could get help when he needed it. "I don't like this," Marcus admitted. "Needing help. You've spent 46 years helping others," I said. "Now it's your turn to be helped." "That's not who I am," Marcus argued. "It's who you are now," I corrected. "And that's okay." 47 years after meeting Marcus, his cancer returned, more aggressive this time. The prognosis wasn't good. "I'm not ready," Marcus told me. "Ready for what?" I asked. "To leave you," Marcus said. "To break my promise." "You've kept your promise for 47 years, I said. "That's more than anyone could ask." "It's not enough," Marcus argued. "I want more time." "We always want more time," I said, "but we're grateful for what we got." 48 years into our marriage, Marcus was mostly in hospice care. The cancer was winning. I was with him constantly, holding his hand, reading to him, reminding him he wasn't alone. "Sophie," Marcus said one afternoon. His was weak. "I'm here," I replied. "I kept my promise, didn't I?" he asked. "You did," I confirmed, "for 48 years. Anyone who hurt me answered to you." "Good," Marcus said. "That was the only promise that mattered." One night, Marcus called me close. "Do you remember that first night?" he asked. "Of course," I said. "You were crying." "I made a promise." "Don't cry," Marcus whispered. "Even now. Even at the end. Anyone who hurt you will answer to me." "You can't protect me from grief," I said. "I know," Marcus admitted. "But I can protect you from everything else. Make sure you're taken care of. Make sure our family is safe." "You did that," I promised. "Our family is safe because of you." "Good," Marcus said. Then I kept my promise. Marcus passed away the next morning, peacefully, with me holding his hand. At his funeral, our children spoke. Grace went first. "My father made a promise 48 years ago," she said, "to a woman he barely knew, to protect her, forever. He kept that promise, every single day for 48 years. But more than that, he showed me what protection looks like, what real strength is, how to be fierce while also being gentle." James spoke next. "My father was the strongest man I knew," he said. "Not because he could hurt people, but because he chose not to. Because he transformed from someone who solved problems with violence to someone who solved them with wisdom. That transformation happened because of my mother, because she showed him a different way." After the funeral, I went home to an empty house. For the first time in 48 years, Marcus wasn't there.
wasn't protecting me, wasn't keeping his promise. But I realized something. The promise hadn't ended. Marcus had protected me so well for 48 years that I knew how to protect myself. He had taught me strength, taught me how to face the world, taught me that protection is love. 1 year after Marcus died, I scattered his ashes. At the hospital where we met, at our first home, at all the places that mattered. Thank you, I whispered at each spot. For 48 years, for keeping your promise, for loving me completely. 2 years after losing Marcus, I published a memoir about our life together, about 48 years with a man who promised to protect me. The book was called Don't Cry, after the words Marcus said that first night. In the book, I was honest about the danger, about the violence, about living with someone whose job was protection, but also about the love, about the gentleness, about how protection can be the deepest form of care. 3 years after Marcus's death, Grace was appointed to the federal bench, a lifetime appointment. I wish Dad could see this, she said. He can, I replied, and he's proud. 4 years after losing him, I was diagnosed with dementia, early stages. The doctors said I would forget things gradually. The family rallied,
Made sure I was cared for, that I was safe. Marcus would want that, Grace said. He'd want us to protect you like he did. 5 years after Marcus passed, I was mostly in memory care, living in the past more than present. But one memory never faded. That night outside the hospital, Marcus looking at me, saying, "Don't cry," promising that anyone who hurt me would answer to him. That memory stayed clear, even as others disappeared. "Where's Marcus?" I would ask sometimes. "He's not here," Grace would say gently. "But he loved you very much, protected you for 48 years. I remember," I'd say. "I remember him promising." "That's right," Grace would confirm. "That's your story." 6 years after Marcus died, I passed away, peacefully, in my sleep, surrounded by family. At my funeral, Grace spoke again. "My mother lived an extraordinary life," she said. "She saved a dying man outside a hospital. That man promised to protect her. That promise became 48 years of marriage, of love, of building a family together. My mother taught us that protection is love, that strength can be gentle, that promises matter." They buried me next to Marcus, two people who had built 48 years from a promise made in a moment of vulnerability. The headstone read simple words: Marcus and Sophie Reed, protected and loved. Years later, people still told our story about the nurse who saved a man's life, about him promising to protect her, about 48 years built on that promise. The story became a reminder that protection can be love, that promises kept matter, that one moment can change everything. Our grandchildren grew up knowing the story, told it to their children, about how great-grandma Sophie saved great-grandpa Marcus, about him saying, "Don't cry," about 48 years of him keeping that promise. The security company Marcus built became known for protecting people ethically, for showing that strength doesn't require violence, that protection is about care. His legacy lived on in how his employees treated clients, with respect and gentleness alongside strength. My legacy lived on in our family, in Grace, who protected people through law, in James, who built businesses ethically, in grandchildren who understood that love is choosing to care for someone every day. Decades after we both passed, the hospital put up a plaque, commemorating the spot where Marcus had been dying, where I saved him, where he made his promise. The plaque read, "Where a promise was made that lasted a lifetime." People would stop and read it, ask about the story, learn about us. Some would propose there, making their own promises, building their own stories from that spot. The story spread beyond our family, used in nursing schools as an example of compassion beyond duty, used in counseling courses as an example of healthy protection in relationships. Years turned into decades. Our great-great-grandchildren grew up knowing fragments of the story, about ancestors who loved each other deeply, who built something lasting from a promise. On the 50th anniversary of my death, the family gathered at the graves where Marcus and I were buried. They placed flowers, told stories, remembered. One of our great-great-granddaughters spoke. 50 years ago, my great-great-grandmother died, she said, joining her husband, who had died 6 years earlier. They had lived an incredible life, built on a promise made 48 years before. That promise was simple. Don't cry. Anyone who hurt you will answer to me. But that simplicity contained everything: protection, love, commitment, daily choice to care for someone every day. The family stood in silence, honoring two people who had shown them what love could be. Later, they gathered at the hospital, at the plaque, shared more stories, each person adding their piece to the legend. This is what they built, someone said. Not just a family, but an understanding that love is action, that protection is care, that promises kept for decades matter more than grand gestures. In the end, that's the legacy. Not just Marcus's protection or my healing, but the combination, the partnership, the choice to love each other every day for 48 years. I was crying outside a hospital.
He said, "Don't cry. Promise to protect me." That promise became everything. 48 years of marriage, a family spanning generations, a love story that outlived us both. That's the power of one promise kept. That's what happens when protection becomes love. That's Marcus and Sophie, a nurse and a protector. 48 years of choosing each other, and a legacy that continues long after we're both gone. The wisdom from our story spread beyond our family. Relationship counselors used it as an example of how protection and partnership can coexist, of how strength doesn't mean control. Therapists referenced us when discussing healthy relationships, showing that protective instincts can be love if balanced with respect, that choosing to care for someone daily matters more than grand gestures. The security company Marcus founded became a model for how to protect people ethically, without violence unless absolutely necessary, with respect and care alongside strength. Employees were trained in Marcus's philosophy that protection is about making people feel safe, not controlled. That real strength is knowing when not to use force. Our grandchildren all found their own ways to honor the legacy. Grace's children became advocates, protecting vulnerable people through law and policy. James's children became healers, doctors and nurses like I had been. Each generation interpreted the lesson differently, but all understood the core: that love is action, that protection is care, that daily choice to show up matters more than anything. Decades after our deaths, a foundation was started, the Marcus and Sophie Reed Foundation, supporting nurses and first responders, people who help others despite danger. The foundation gave scholarships, funded training, made sure people who chose to help had the resources they needed. Each recipient learned our story, about a nurse who helped a dying man, about him promising to protect her, about 48 years built on that promise. Some recipients were inspired to start their own security companies. Others became advocates for victims. All carried forward the idea that helping people matters. On the 100th anniversary of that night outside the hospital, the family threw a massive gathering. Hundreds of people, multiple generations, all connected to Marcus and me. At the event, our great-great-great-granddaughter spoke. She was a nurse, working at the same hospital where I had worked. 100 years ago tonight, she said, my great-great-great-grandmother was working a night shift at this hospital. She went outside for air, found a man dying from a knife wound. She could have called for help and walked away. Instead, she stitched him up right there, saved his life. That man looked at her scraped hands a week later, saw her crying, and said, "Don't cry. Anyone who hurt you will answer to me." That promise changed everything, led to 48 years of marriage, to this family, to all of us standing here tonight. She paused. What I've learned from their story is that one moment of compassion can ripple through generations. That promises kept matter. That protection and love are the same thing when done right. The crowd was silent, reflecting on a century of impact from one promise. Later, people shared their own stories, how Marcus and Sophie's example influenced them. One woman talked about leaving an abusive relationship. Their story showed me what protection should look like, she said. Not control, not possession, but genuine care. A man discussed starting a nonprofit to help trauma survivors. I was inspired by how Sophie helped Marcus, he explained. How she saw past his violence to his humanity. That's what we try to do, see people completely. A young couple talked about their marriage. We use them as a model, the husband said. When we disagree, we ask, what would Marcus and Sophie do? And the answer is always talk, protect each other's feelings, choose each other. The stories went on for hours, each person touched by our legacy in different ways. The security industry had transformed, partly because of Marcus's influence.
Companies now trained employees in de-escalation, in protecting without violence, in understanding that true strength is restraint. Nursing programs taught about compassion beyond duty, using my example of helping someone even when it was risky, of seeing humanity in everyone. The legal system had changed too, thanks partly to Grace's work. Better protections for victims, more understanding that abuse isn't just physical, recognition that emotional protection matters as much as physical safety. All of it traced back to that night, to Marcus promising to protect me, to me accepting that protection while maintaining my autonomy, to us building 48 years of partnership from that promise. In psychology courses, professors discussed our relationship as an example of secure attachment, of how protection can foster independence rather than dependence. How we managed it became a case study. Marcus protected Sophie, professors would say, but he also respected her autonomy, gave her space to be herself. That balance is what made it work. Students would analyze our letters, our interviews from when we were alive, our children's accounts, trying to understand how we balanced protection with partnership. The answer was always the same: communication, respect, daily choice to prioritize each other. Simple concepts, but hard to maintain for 48 years. In literature classes, our story was compared to classic romances, but professors noted the difference. This wasn't about grand gestures, they'd say. It was about daily commitment, about Marcus promising to protect Sophie and then doing it every single day for 48 years. That's more romantic than any fictional story because it's real, because it lasted, because it was built on choice, not chance. The hospital where we met became a destination. People would visit, stand where Marcus had been dying, where I found him, where everything changed. Some would propose there, making their own promises, starting their own stories. The spot became known as Promise Point, a reminder that moments of vulnerability can become foundations for lifetimes. On the 110th anniversary of that night, the hospital added another plaque, this one with our full story, about the night we met, about the promise, about 48 years that followed. The plaque ended with words Marcus had often repeated. Protection is love, love is choice, choice is daily commitment. Simple words, but containing everything we learned in 48 years together. Students studying relationships would visit the plaque, take photos, write papers about what it meant. Our great-great-great-great-grandchildren grew up knowing the story, about ancestors who built something lasting, who showed that promises matter, who proved that protection and partnership can coexist. They would visit our graves, place flowers, tell us about their lives, about how they were carrying forward the legacy. One descendant became a relationship therapist, using our example with clients. Another started a security company, built on Marcus's principles. A third became a nurse, following my path. Each generation finding their own way to honor what we built. The foundation continued to grow, supporting tens of thousands of people over the decades. Each recipient got a card with the words Marcus said that first night, "Don't cry. Anyone who hurt you will answer to me." A reminder that protection exists, that people care, that help is available. The story spread globally, translated into dozens of languages, used in different cultures to discuss protection and love. Different societies interpret it through their own lens, but all recognize the universal truth that caring for someone, protecting them, choosing them daily for decades, that's what real love looks like. In the end, our story became bigger than us, became a reminder of what's possible when two people choose each other, when protection is offered with respect, when love is expressed through action rather than just words. I was crying outside a hospital 100-and-something years ago. A man I had just saved promised to protect me. That promise became 48 years of marriage, became a family spanning generations, became a legacy teaching people about love and protection and daily commitment. That's the power of one moment, one promise, one choice to care for someone completely. That's Marcus and Sophie Reed, a nurse and a protector, 48 years of partnership, and a legacy that will continue long after our names are forgotten. Because the lesson remains. Love is protection. Protection is care. Care is daily choice. That truth is eternal, proven by us, carried forward by our descendants, inspiring people we'll never meet. That's everything we could have hoped for. That's the full circle of our promise. That's our complete story. From that first night outside the hospital to generations of impact. From one promise to decades of keeping it. From two people to a family spanning over a century. The lessons we taught without meaning to teach them continue. That strength can be gentle. That protection can respect autonomy. That love is shown through actions more than words. every person who hears our story takes something different from it. Some learn about the power of keeping promises, others learn about balancing protection with partnership. Still others learn that one moment of compassion can change everything. All of these lessons are true. All of them matter. All of them came from that single night when I was crying and Marcus said, "Don't cry. Anyone who hurt you will answer to me." Those words changed my life, built 48 years of marriage, created a legacy spanning generations. That's the power of protection given with love. That's the impact of promises kept. That's Marcus and Sophie Reed, forever. Did you like my story? Which city are you listening from? Let's meet in the comments. If you liked the story, you can support me by sending a super thanks so I can keep bringing more stories like this. Thank you so much for your sweet support. I'm looking forward to your comments on the story. On the screen, you can see 2 new life stories that I highly recommend. There's so much more on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next life story with love and respect.